Umkhonto weSizwe has actually made it clear that if ANC wants to have a conversation with them, the first thing that the ANC needs to do is to get rid of Cyril Ramaphosa. Umkhonto weSizwe says, we don't have a problem of going into coalition with the ANC, but we don't want to negotiate with President Ramaphosa.
So 360 experience with Thomas M.
So guys, it looks like the ANC is between the rock and hard place after failing to get an outright majority during the elections. So right now, South Africans are debating about the possible coalition scenarios. And I must say that in the past couple of days, it's been very fascinating to hear people throw out the suggestions. People are saying that we want the ANC to go into coalition with the DA and the IFP. We want the ANC to go into coalition with the MK Party and the EFF. We want the ANC to go into coalition with the EFF and Patriotic Alliance. No, we want the government of national unity. No, we want a minority government. So these are things that people have been debating about for the past couple of days. But however, it looks like Cyril Ramaphosa and some of his friends within the ANC are in favor of the ANC going into coalition with the Democratic Alliance. But the problem with this possible coalition scenario is that it has been facing a lot of problems, not only within the African National Congress, even outside too. I mean, right now, as we speak, we saw the reports coming out saying that some of the senior members of the ANC have threatened to leave if Ramaphosa drags the ANC into coalition with the Democratic Alliance. The unions that have been with the ANC for decades are saying if the ANC goes into coalition with the DA, then they're going to have to distance themselves from the African National Congress. So I think President Ramaphosa and the African National Congress, they are thinking about the coalition that is going to work for the people of this country, and the coalition that is not going to be controversial, and the coalition that is not going to cost them votes. Because after these elections, the ANC has lost a lot of votes. You remember in 2019, these people got 10 million votes under Ramaphosa, but right now, they didn't even get 7 million votes. So they are aware that many people have actually distanced themselves from the African National Congress. So I don't know if they're going to end up going in this coalition with the Democratic Alliance or what. So one of the people that have been vocal about the ANC going into coalition with the Democratic Alliance is the leader of Patriotic Alliance, Gethin McKenzie. Gethin McKenzie has been so vocal, and he has been warning the ANC and saying, ANC, if you dare to go into coalition with the DA, that is going to be the end of the ANC. Why? Because right now the ANC has already lost a lot of support, and these people have went to join Jacob Zuma on Umkhonto weSizwe. So if you're gonna continue to irritate your supporters and go into this coalition with the Democratic Alliance, a huge chunk of the ANC is gonna go to Umkhonto weSizwe, and this thing is gonna make your nightmares even realistic, because it's going to make Jacob Zuma even more possible. Chances are in 2029 Jacob Zuma will win the elections again, and the rest of the ANC supporters will now go to the African National Congress, will now go to join Jacob Zuma and Umkhonto weSizwe. And guys, I think this is what Jacob Zuma has been speaking about all this time, and I think this is the reason why Gethin McKenzie has been saying that if ANC dares to go into coalition with the DA, that is going to be the gift to Jacob Zuma. Actually, Jacob Zuma wants the ANC to go into coalition with the DA because he knows that majority of the people within the ANC, NEC, the Youth League of the ANC, they are not in favor of the ANC going into coalition with the DA. So he's hoping that those people will come and join Umkhonto weSizwe. And after the ANC has been totally annihilated in 2029, the rest of the ANC is going to go and join Umkhonto weSizwe. And I think this is what Jacob Zuma was talking about when he says that once we are in power, we're going to reclaim our ANC. I think they are trying to turn Umkhonto weSizwe into the African National, they're trying to turn Umkhonto weSizwe into the new African National Congress. So Gethin McKenzie has been warning the ANC and saying, guys, please do not think about this coalition between you guys and the DA. We know that you are talking about the numbers, we know that you are talking about the markets, and you are talking about the business, but please, for the love of God, think about what this coalition is going to do to you as the political party.
Yeah, I can share with you, because people are, business needs to stay out of these talks. Business has been dominating the talks. Business has been wanting their agenda to be pushed in the talks. Business has been relentless in marrying, in arranging this forced marriage between the D and the ANC. None of them really wants it. Believe me when I tell you, I speak to people in the D, I speak to people in the ANC, but business is putting its foot down and say, you will marry, but they don't understand the repercussions.
And is Getty Mackenzie telling the lie? Because I also received the comments like that. People have actually said that, Thomas, I love the DA so much, but I don't want the DA to go into coalition with the ANC. I think that is going to be the end of the DA. A lot of people have actually said that to me, that Thomas, if the DA goes into coalition with the ANC, that is going to be the end of the DA. And the ANC people have actually been so vocal to saying that if the ANC goes into coalition with the DA, that is going to be the end of the party. They are even calling it apartheid 2.0. I'm not sure if you guys have been aware on social media recently. The supporters of the ANC, they are saying that if the ANC goes into coalition with the DA, then it means that the ANC would have sanctioned apartheid 2.0. I mean, like, we know that that narrative is nonsense and apartheid is never going to take place again. But this narrative actually sells if someone comes and says that if you guys gonna bring white people to governance again, do not cry if these people drag us back to apartheid. So the fear mongering has been very strong on social media. The fear mongering has been very strong on social media, especially coming from the people of the African National Congress, coming from the people of Umkhonto we Sizwe, coming from the people of the EFF. So I think this is some of the things that Ramaphosa and his friends are thinking about. That, guys, as much as this might be the best coalition scenario for us, but do we want it? Do we want it? Do we want to lose more supporters? Do we want to lose more votes? Because it looks like the people on the ground are not in favor of the ANC going into coalition with the DA.
What they are busy doing, there's two things. The soft repercussion is that they are making Jacob Zuma the most powerful man in this country again, because I can tell you 25% of the ANC to 30% will leave instantly and they'll go to MK. And that's for him, for Jacob Zuma. That's the best situation for the D and ANC to get together. The worst situation for this country, the worst one, is that you cannot do what they're doing. The islands 45%, which is still being disputed by the very same 45%. They say that we were more. They're trying to put a coalition that excludes Jacob Zuma. Business needs to leave this obsession to see Jacob Zuma hang from a tree. Make peace that the people love Jacob Zuma despite all the efforts that has been done. Let's move on. Let's put the country first. Stay out of this thing where you want to arrange anything. So for business, the country can go to hell as long as Jacob Zuma is not part of it. And people are so scared to talk about it. Political parties can see it. They say it behind closed doors because they can't say it like I'm saying it, because they get funded by these people. I don't get funded by these people, so I'm saying to you that we need to be very smart. We need to have cool heads.
So, guys, do you think that Getty Mackenzie is telling the truth? Do you think that Getty Mackenzie is telling the truth that if the ANC goes into coalition with the DA, a huge chunk of the ANC will go and join Umkhonto we Sizwe, and that is going to make Jacob Zuma even more powerful? And if Umkhonto we Sizwe goes to the next elections, chances are they're going to win the elections, because majority of the ANC supporters will be frustrated with their own party and saying that their party has joined the colonizers. How true is this thing? Guys, please tell me what you think about Getty Mackenzie's thoughts. Please tell me what you think about Getty Mackenzie's thoughts, because I've been thinking about this for the longest time. I've been thinking about this for the longest time and saying, man, does Getty Mackenzie have a point? Does Getty Mackenzie have a point? If ANC goes into coalition with the DA, that is going to make Umkhonto we Sizwe even more strong. Do we need that as South Africa? Do we need a Jacob Zuma more emboldened? Or is this what Jacob Zuma was talking about when he said that we are going to reclaim our ANC once we are in power? Is this Jacob Zuma's grand plan to push ANC into the hands of the DA, knowing very well that the racial politics on the ground is going to work on his favor, knowing very well that the people on the ground will not be interested in service delivery, they will not be interested in a lot of things that this potential marriage might bring to the country. But people will just be looking at the ANC and they will just be judging the ANC and saying that the ANC is working with the colonizers. Is Getting Mackenzie telling the truth? Should the ANC and the DA actually hold on a bit about this marriage of theirs? I've been thinking about this thing, like, guys, almost the whole night last night. I've been thinking about this almost the whole night, and if it works well, these people could actually be playing right into Jacob Zuma's hands. So the other coalition that people are talking about, it is the possible coalition between the ANC and Umkhonto weSizwe. But when it comes to Umkhonto weSizwe and the ANC, things are a bit rough there, because Umkhonto weSizwe has actually made it clear that if ANC wants to have a conversation with them, the first thing that the ANC needs to do is to get rid of Cyril Ramaphosa. Umkhonto weSizwe says, we don't have a problem of going into coalition with the ANC, but we don't want to negotiate with President Ramaphosa. So is the ANC going to kick out Ramaphosa to save their asses, and saying that Jacob Zuma is a long comrade of ours? Jacob Zuma has amassed huge numbers, and this guy has a potential of winning us possibly the next election. So what is the ANC going to do? Is the ANC going to get rid of Ramaphosa so that they can go into coalition with Umkhonto weSizwe? Because this is the condition that Umkhonto weSizwe is not stepping away from. Umkhonto weSizwe is saying it is fine. If you guys don't want to go into coalition with us, then it is fine. If you don't want to go into coalition with us, it is fine. But if you want us to go into coalition with you, the first thing that you need to do is to get rid of Ramaphosa. Guys, what do you think the ANC is going to do?
To ensure beneficiation and to create jobs for our people. We won't be able to nationalize the Reserve Bank, so we can actually separate the Prudential Authority and have to issue licenses to black people. So we have black owners of banks. We can't effect those kind of changes until we change this constitution. We won't be able to institute reforms of water as long as the Irrigation Act of Apartheid is still active. And there are certain individuals that have still got controls of dams when water is supposed to be used for human sustainability. And yet they want to come and commercialize water. And when we take them to the courts as the government, guess what happens? There's a clause in the Constitution that protects them. No, there's a sunset clause, remember, that we signed, CODESA. And today, guess what? I'm protected. I can own a whole dam, and I don't care about the community over there. If the government wants water for these people, they must buy it through me. I'm telling you about a real life scenario in Jozini Dam. That's the reality. So how are you going to effect change when this particular individual, in actual fact, let's be honest, his ancestors were visitors here. But he owns a resource that is owned by the ancestors of this country, the black children people. But yet we have to be buying water from him? Doesn't make sense. So in order for us to effect the kind of change that we want in this country, we have to change the constitution first and foremost. So if you're going to come and have a discussion with us about a coalition, that's the first answer you must give. Second, you're asking me about the Cyril Ramaphosa ANC. We won't engage with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. We can have a discussion with the ANC. But the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa? How is that possible?
It's in reality, how does that? Cyril Ramaphosa is the leader of the ANC.
We will not engage in a discussion with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa.
Which ANC?
The ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. We can have a discussion with the ANC. We'll engage with the ANC, but not the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa.
Which one are you going to?
Which the current ANC is under who?
So I say, as long as Cyril is the leader of the ANC,
we won't engage with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. It's bought. The presidency was bought. It's a fact. So how are we going to engage the president of the traitor who is bought?
The question is direct. Saying as long as it's
and my response is direct.
My
response is direct. Sure. We're not going to engage with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. We'll engage with the ANC. We'll have a discussion with them, but not the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa.
So basically what Umkhonto Wesizwe is saying is that we don't want Ramaphosa to be the president. We want you guys to get rid of Ramaphosa. So I think like MK is quite clear on this thing, that we are not happy to discuss anything with the ANC of Ramaphosa. But Fikile Mbalula recently came out to defend Ramaphosa and the ANC and saying that no political party must come and tell the ANC who their leader must be. If you're gonna come here and tell us to get rid of Ramaphosa is a non-negotiable. You must not come here and think you can tell the ANC who their leader should be. So guys, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that the ANC is going to get rid of Ramaphosa to please Umkhonto Wesizwe? And again, is that going to be enough? Because at the end of the day, we know that Jacob Zuma told us that what he wants is to go back to the office so that he can finish off his term. Is that going to be enough for the ANC to get rid of Ramaphosa? Is that going to be enough for Umkhonto Wesizwe? Or after ANC has gotten rid of Ramaphosa, Umkhonto Wesizwe is going to say, yeah, it is fine. Now we want Jacob Zuma to be the president. Now we want Jacob Zuma to be the president.
Ramaphosa is the president of the ANC, and if you come to us with those demands, forget. If you come to us with a demand that Ramaphosa must step down as a president, that is not going to happen. We've got no such mandate. We are not going to engage with political parties on the basis that we don't want to talk to Soros. We're not going to do that. Because we don't run political parties. You asked me about MK party. We've got many reservations about that party, but we will talk to them. If they want to work with us, we will map out how we want to do, but no political party will dictate terms like that to us as the ANC. We will not. That is a no-go area to everyone. It's a no-go area. It's a no-go area. You come to us with that demand, forget. And I've heard some of you murmuring even in the bathrooms. Ramaphosa, when ANC loses power, is going to resign. Why did he stand as a president? You stand in an organization in bad and good times. These are bad times. When we signed to stand, people have asked us a question, Nomvula and others, are you going to step down? When we agreed in Nazareth to the branches of the ANC that we stood, it meant even for occasions like this. Ramaphosa.
So guys, is Fikile Mbalula just posturing? Is Fikile Mbalula just posturing? Because the ANC has a history of getting rid of people in their second terms. So is Ramaphosa even gonna finish his second term? Or the ANC, they are thinking that, yeah, maybe this guy, he gave us 40%, it's fine, let's get rid of him. Because this is who we are at the end of the day. This is who we are at the end of the day. The ANC does not allow its presidents to finish off the second term. So why should Ramaphosa be an exception? Let's get rid of Ramaphosa. Let's bring in Paul Mashatile so that Paul Mashatile can bring in Jacob Zuma, so that Paul Mashatile can bring in Julius Malema. Because this is what people are saying, that if Paul Mashatile comes back or dethrones Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC, the first thing that Paul Mashatile is going to do is going to call MK party and he's going to call the EFF. This is what he wants. Is Jacob Zuma counting on that too? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I guess we will see. I guess we will see, because some people said that MK is MK is bluffing. There is no way the MK is not gonna pick up the calls when ANC is calling. But it looks like MK was not bluffing, because earlier today, the spokesperson of the ANC, Mahlengi Bengumutsiri, did a press conference and to tell South Africans about the political parties that have actually spoken with the ANC, and she made it clear that Umkhonto Wesizwe did not pick up their call. So Umkhonto Wesizwe, they are firm on what they believe. They want Ramaphosa to step down as the president of the country. That is the only way they're going to negotiate with him.
Fighters, the Democratic Alliance, the NFP, and the PEA, the Patriotic Alliance. The ANC has also had engagements with its alliance partners, the South African Communist Party, the Congress of South African Trade Unions, and the South African National Civics Organization. Fighters, the Democratic Alliance, the NFP, and the PEA, the Patriotic Alliance. The ANC has also had engagements with its alliance partners, the South African Communist Party, the Congress of South African Trade Unions, and the South African.
So MK wants that they don't want to go into coalition with the ANC of Ramaphosa. They don't want to go into coalition with the ANC of Ramaphosa. So they are hoping that Ramaphosa makes a wrong move so that MK can continue eating from the ANC. So earlier on, I was watching an interview, but I'm happy that I found this short clip on Biz News where Alec Hogg and Rob Hersov were actually talking about MK Party. So according to Rob Hersov, MK Party is far more dangerous than the EFF. MK Party is making EFF to look like kindergarten, if we're being honest right now. I think Rob Hersov and and his friends, they've actually analyzed the situation. I think Rob Hersov has also spoken to Gayton McKenzie. We know that these people are friends. Rob Hersov and Gayton McKenzie, I think they are friends, and I think the reason why Rob Hersov is so concerned about Umkhonto Wesizwe, I think it's on the same basis of what Gayton McKenzie said earlier on.
I'm not saying they're a force of good. They're not. But what I am saying is the MK is a bigger threat to stability than the EFF. Both are loonies. The EFF will sell whatever snake oil keeps them in the game. And remember, they are less than 10%. They've stagnated, they've been humiliated. And Julius Malema, deep down, is a capitalist. He owns tons of properties. He's a member of the Ananda Club. His kids go to private schools. He wants to be one of the economic ruling class. Jacob Zuma is like this with Putin. That's where he got his funding from. No, all I'm saying is, in the scale of bad, MK is worse than EFF in my view. Way worse. And they have military capability.
You know, you really shook up South Africa at the business BNC 2. And you, at the time, nobody was prepared to listen. And you said, listen, I'll put my neck on the line. And I know you've taken a huge personal cost from it. Is this one of those moments where you're now saying, okay, the rest of you guys think that the EFF is a loony, socialist, entrepreneurial party that, sure, Malema's rich, but how did he get rich? You know, it's like, follow the dots. And yet you're saying to us, a little bit like maybe what you did in 2021, that there's another side to this picture, or are you saying the lesser of two evils?
I'm saying the EFF is a lesser of two very bad evils. But what does that mean? What does it really mean? Jacob Zuma's money is direct from Putin, direct from Russia. I said this months ago. Obviously, the Guptas will contribute because they, don't want to be pursued into jail where they deserve. So he has access to significant funding. And he wants to disrupt democracy, break the constitution. He doesn't care that this economy collapses, because that's the Soviet playbook. Disrupt the economy, smash the constitution, and they take control that way. MK is way more of a threat. The only positive is Jacob Zuma is an old man. Can MK survive Jacob leaving the planet and heading to the fiery pits of hell? That's the question. And the EFF have got, have been beaten back to 9 point whatever percent. I mean, they will be more pragmatic, more opportunistic, and their talk is snake oil. Whereas Jacob truly believes, with his Soviet Russian backing, in destroying the constitution and the economy and taking control. MK is a way bigger threat. So if
What are your thoughts on that, guys? What are your thoughts on that? MK it's a far bigger threat than the EFF, and recently the relationship between the EFF supporters and MK, it has been very interesting to watch, because you know that recently Julius Malema came out to do a press conference, and during the press conference Julius Malema said that he accepts the election results. So according to MK guys and the MK supporters, Julius Malema is a sellout. Julius Malema was never supposed to accept the election results. So Julius Malema has been bought by the white monopoly capital. This is what MK is saying, because Jacob Zuma deep down in his heart believes that these elections were rigged. Jacob Zuma want this matter to go as far as re-voting. I don't know how many people actually have an appetite to go back to the lines to vote. I don't know how many people actually have an appetite to stand for hours to vote. But this is what Jacob Zuma wants. Jacob Zuma does not only want a recount, Jacob Zuma wants a revote. So when Julius Malema came out and said that I accept the election results, that did not land well with the supporters of MK. It made Julius Malema an immediate enemy of the MK, because they say Julius Malema has been selling out the revolution. Why did Julius Malema accept the election results, knowing very well that these election results were rigged? How can Julius Malema come out and say that the number of votes that were stolen from the EFF, they were never going to make that much of a difference? How do you know? Because you don't have proof. How do you know? And this is what MK is saying to Julius Malema. So I guess we are about to see how this relationship of MK and Julius Malema is going to look like, because the supporters of the EFF, they are also defending their own movement and saying that for the longest time the EFF has been seen as this party of anarchy, this party of intolerance, this party of chaos, and they've had enough of that. So they are applauding Julius Malema for actually accepting the election results and not wanting the EFF to be the face of anarchy, not wanting the EFF to be the face of intolerance. So I hope, guys, we will see where this relationship will actually end up. So what are your thoughts, man? Do you want the ANC to go into coalition with the DA if you are an ANC support? If you are a DA supporter, do you want the DA to go into coalition with the ANC? Because I know many DA supporters are not in favor of that. Many people have actually said that if the DA goes into coalition with the ANC, then they are going to lose my vote. There is no way I'm ever going to vote for the ANC again. What are your thoughts, guys? What are your thoughts? Which coalition government is actually going to be suitable for you? Because for me, I think that the government of national unity, bring everyone to board, share the portfolios, and see how the country is going to move forward. Personally, I think that is going to work. If you bring everybody to board, of course, MK does not want that. Of course, Jacob Zuma does not want that. But in terms of the ANC and saving their own asses, how are they going to save their own asses? Because it looks like this whole thing of theirs, choosing between MK party and the DA, it looks like it might not yield in the results that the ANC wants. I don't think the ANC thought that going into coalition with the DA or talking about the possible coalition of ANC and the DA, it was going to be so controversial. I don't think the ANC actually thought that talking about the possible coalition of ANC and MK party was going to be so controversial. So what should the ANC do to save themselves? Me, I would suggest that let's go into the government of national unity. Let's do the same thing that Nelson Mandela did in 94. Let's do the same thing that Nelson Mandela did in 94. Let's bring everybody to board. Let's bring everybody to board. Guys, those are just my thoughts. I don't know, man. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. And the most important part, subscribe. And my name is Thomas Maba. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
The 360 experience with Thomas M.